Hello, El Raiders Court is back in session, and Monday's docket is hot, hot, hot. I'm Al Reynolds, and this is the Court of Public Opinion. I'll be serving as the judge, and you, the viewers, will be serving as the jury. As you know, the Court of Public Opinion is a place where you, the people's voice, can and will be heard. All right, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, don't forget to hit that share button. Invite your friends over here. Learn the law. Learn the gossip of the law. Learn everything in between and how it can help you out in your life. Also, turn on your notifications and don't forget to drop down in those comments because we love to hear from you and we love to answer any questions that you may have surrounding the court cases that we're examining tonight. All right, let's introduce our legal beagles. We have a three-team member all-star set for you tonight. First up, we have our fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, Your Honor. Hey, Algorators. We're going to have some fun tonight.
All right, next up, we have our entertainment attorney, Jay Carter. Jay Carter, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. Glad you're joining us.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be back.
And last up, we have our criminal defense attorney, the one, the only, Brian Ross. Good luck, Brian, with the ladies tonight.
Hey, I'm down here in full hurricane prep mode. Pray for your boy.
I think you're going to survive. I've seen that new house. That multi-million-dollar house isn't going anywhere if you tried to blow it down. All right, everybody, court is now in session. We have an interesting night for you tonight. First up in the docket is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. As you know, Michael Jordan owns a racing team. It's called 23XI, I think it is. All right, along with Front Row Motorsports. And he's filed a federal antitrust lawsuit against NASA this very month of this year. And he's saying that the organization is basically a monopoly, and it's hard for anybody to make any money except for those who participate in the monopoly. Attorney Brian Ross, talk to us about what this means and what is going on with NASCAR.
First thing I want to do is I want to clap for Mr. Michael Jordan. You did a great job, sir. I am a NASCAR fan. I love cars. I'll judge will tell you I love cars. Michael Jordan bought a team in NASCAR during the height of the George Floyd, quote unquote, racism time period. And he bought it after Bubba Wallace allegedly found a black race car driver a noose in his garage at a race in Alabama. Michael Jordan felt compelled to step in. He's from North Carolina, which is the headquarters of NASCAR, and they welcomed him with open arms. He is the brightest spotlight owner in NASCAR. NASCAR has a bunch of teams, individual teams. They make money from Ford. They make money from Toyota. They make money from Chevrolet, blah, 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 blah. Michael Jordan says, where's the love? Share the money. How come when we have to sign this new collective bargaining agreement, the only people who are making money is NASCAR? Now, here's the scary part. Of the other teams in NASCAR, 13 of them signed. Only 2 didn't. And Jordan, along with Front Row Sports owners, sued NASCAR under what's called the Anti-Sherman Act. The Anti-Sherman Act says, I drive for NASCAR. I can't go drive for any other entity in this country and make the kind of money that I can make doing NASCAR. Therefore, NASCAR has what's called a monopoly because they control the only industry like that. These rules apply to football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. Same rules. So if they're making millions of dollars without sharing it, they are in fact a monopoly, and we have to know how much they're making, which is open the books, and they got to share some with me. It's a big problem for NASCAR. Big problem for NASCAR.
Now, according to NASCAR, this has been a charter system that they've had since 2016, correct? And they are saying, that despite, basically Jordan is saying we need to revisit these archaic rules where only certain people are allowed to make money. What defense does he have to do or prove in order to have this case or have this lawsuit taken seriously?
The biggest thing he has to prove is that they're acting in bad faith, that they're not fair dealing, that they're saying, okay, fine, understand we're the only ones, right? We understand we're the only ones. We're going to show you some of the money. But Jordan goes, no, pull back the curtain. The truth of the matter is there's more money on the table. You guys are bringing in billions of dollars in revenue and using us race car drive owners to do it. So you have to show us how much you're making so we can actually have a deal. It's like any other business, right? Show me, I'll show you mine. Don't hold yours back and I later find that you had another $1 billion in the bank. Share it with me. And that's what NASCAR doesn't want to do. NASCAR's argument is we're a closely held corporation. We're family oriented.
Right. That's right. The France family, right?
Right.
The France family, right? Okay, so attorney Jay Carter, help me understand this, right? Because one of their arguments is that NASCAR forces you or forces teams to purchase parts that they need for their cars from one single source supplier. Is that legal? You're on mute, beautiful.
It is legal because essentially it's a private company. So if you're going to race with them, you sign a contract with them that there's certain things that you will abide by regarding parts, how the even how the cars are marketed, with like how the cars are wrapped. You sign up. It's almost like a independent they're not really employees, but there's some contractual obligations that they require them to abide by if they do it. I think what's interesting about this, because I know some of the audience may be lost with antitrust and monopoly, but I'm sure everybody remembers when Sprint and T-Mobile were trying to merge, and Verizon said, essentially Sprint and T-Mobile were trying to merge, and they said that because they felt like Verizon had an unfair monopoly. And so that went through the Department of Justice for a really long time. I can't tell you who I was representing at the time, obviously, but I was involved in that monopoly merger, where there was a merger going on because they felt like Verizon was basically dominating everything. So again, you may not know about NASCAR, but just think about other companies that really dominate a space, because we're supposed to be the land of the free and the land of free capitalism and free competition. Right. So that is why this is related to this, because Michael Jordan is essentially saying that they have this unfair monopoly. So I actually think he has a pretty good case. So we shall see.
I like it, Judge. And I like Miss Carter's analysis. I like that Jordan is continuing to blaze a path. No other owner really has his presence to do this.
Right.
So
no one's gonna listen, right? No one's gonna listen.
No one's gonna listen. Michael Jordan walks in a room, people sit back and want autographs and pay attention. It's just who he is.
Especially when it comes to money. Attorney Turner, what are your thoughts on this particular case? And do you think it's okay to create a monopoly style environment where there's no accountability, just showing how much money is being made and who's making it?
Well, that's a loaded question, Your Honor. Of course I support I support free trade, right? It's American. I think you bring up some interesting points, though. You have Michael Jordan's interest as an owner and his allegations about the purported monopoly that he thinks that NASCAR is involved in. But you brought up an interesting point about the supplier. And as Attorney Carter indicated, NASCAR can promote whatever supplier they want. However, if I was a supplier of similar goods, I would say that there's an unfair restraint of trade, because NASCAR is dictating the price and exerting its influence in the marketplace, as opposed to allowing aid to actually right, and the price point and all the other things that I learned in economics at UVA when I made to dictate what the price.
Oh my God, that class was so hard.
Shout out.
I took that class as well. You have to take economics 201 and 202. You have to take both. You have to take a year of it.
And when I was there, we had to take an exam in economics in order to graduate. Right. Yeah, it was a whole thing. But the funny thing is, if you'd like a fun fact about my weird family, can I see your time, please? Thank you. So, fun fact about my weird family: I was an economics major. Then my sister was an economics major, and my brother was an economics major. For all the people who hate econ, apparently my family, we kind of love it.
Makes perfect sense. Anyway, all right,
attorney.
all right, attorneys. Great job in breaking down that Michael Jordan versus NASCAR. Next up, Garth Brooks. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. And oh my goodness, are you doing what Diddy is known for doing? All right, Garth Brooks, he's in the Court of Public Opinions because allegations made against him by his former hairstylist and makeup artist, and she's going by Jane Doe, are accusing him of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. She said there were multiple accounts of misconduct, including rape, sexual assault, sexual abuse, all which occurred during her time throughout 2019. According to her lawsuit, Brooks subjected her to unwanted sexual advances like groping, explicit sexual remarks, and inappropriate behavior such as undressing in her presence and sending sexually explicit messages. One particularly disturbing claim involves Brooke allegedly forcing her to touch his erect genital after emerging from the shower naked. Now, legal beagles, you know, we don't stand for any type of sexual assault, any type of sexual abuse here, especially against women. However, I'm confused.
Oh, really?
So in her, I am confused. Hold on, let me get to
No. I'm gonna let that go to the judge, but I want to clarify, as I've been saying for months on this show, that you only have me. If you are a man watching this show, I'm your only hope.
Settle down, counselor. Please let me finish. All right, so this is my question, ladies. Ladies and my criminal defense attorney. This is the state of California. She's claiming rape, but he never physically raped her as far as penetration. So can someone break down the law as it relates to certain states where you can still be charged with rape without there being intercourse of some kind? Who would like to take this? Attorney Turner, would you like to take a stab at this?
I can take it. And as we all know, rape is a very serious allegation. Sexual assault is very serious. But can I make a joke? Very inappropriate joke. But all I could think about the allegations against Garth Brooks is, you know, he told her he was going to take her hand to low places. Remember his song?
Off the chain. That's a low blow.
You know what? Seriously, I wish there was some way I could find you. You need to be fined for that horrible joke. But go ahead.
I know. Okay. And the other thing I want to commend you and the producer and the bailiff for is to bringing diversity to this argument, because what this also illustrates is it's not just the brothers who have been involved or accused of this kind of like inappropriate activity against women. It's apparently rampant in Hollywood, if you believe what this person's talking about. Now, you bring up a good point, because a lot of the algoriters probably believe if it doesn't penetrate, then it's not rape, right? And in California, rape actually encompasses a broader category of offenses. So, of course, it's unwanted, right? So you don't have to worry if you're on a date and everybody's with it that you're going to be accused of rape unless you drug her. You can't people who are impaired can't consent. Another thing I learned at UVA is that if the girl is drunk, you need to stay away, because in Virginia, it's a felony. Anyway, free advice for anybody in Virginia. But in California, rape includes sexual assault, groping, fondling, and other unwanted sexual conduct, even if there's no penetration. And so you want to make, well, first of all, just don't rape people. Don't touch people who don't want to be touched. And don't exert your power or authority over someone who works for you in a sexual manner. That said, if you got some free time, you should probably review what's considered rape in your state and what the potential penalties are, because if this rape charge sticks, he's facing potential prison
time.
Years.
Right,
yeah.
right. Now, let me ask you this, Jay Carter, because I want to get your opinion, because as another female lawyer on the panel, what is going on? Is the Diddy situation influencing people to go back and say, hey, you know, they didn't know their rights and now they want to exercise all their rights? or are they becoming more confident to share their own experiences now, and they want to go get their money because they've seen in his particular case, using it as a backdrop, that you can get paid? What is the sentiment now? Because it just seems like everyone's coming out of the woodwork as it relates to sexual assault, sexual abuse. And now that you understand in certain states, rape can be defined by not penetration, but merely groping. What is this setting our court system up to experience now?
So first of all, I'm with Shatan. I'm just happy it's not a brother up on the screen. I was so tired of seeing our brothers up here every week, you know. So to me, and that's kind of answering your question. I think we are being inundated with entertainers being hit with civil lawsuits decades later.
Right.
And there's two reasons. One, to your point, I guess we can start calling it the Diddy effect, right? Just like
okay.
Weinstein effect. And you had other people file after Weinstein against Epstein and some other people. So there was that Me Too. So there was that movement. So now we are now in Me Too Part 2, and it is being initiated by what I call the Diddy effect. So yes, people are more confident that A, they can come out and be believed, B, they can get paid. I think, unfortunately, though, as Brian has said, with the clients he can obviously represent, if it's creating this bandwagon effect, it's going to be really hard to decipher, like, who's just trying to get paid versus who was actually assaulted, who actually consented versus who didn't. And I know we're going to get into that a little bit more with our Diddy update towards the end of today's show. But it's just opening up a floodgate. And again, I'm absolutely with people filing for their rights. But it's just interesting that with California and New York, and I'm sure there's some other states, I won't quote them because I don't know them off the top of my head. These are two jurisdictions where they have opened up new laws to allow people to go back and civilly file. Also, some people say, well, if this really happens to you, why don't you go to the police? Well, statute of limitations. Diddy was dragging Cassie down the hall. He's never going to be charged for that, right? But they figured out a way to put it in a RICO so that he could be charged federally. So there are ways you can do it, but typically, if something happened 15 to 20 years ago, the only relief you're going to get is civil, and these women are way, way more comfortable now that what we're experiencing, as I call it, the Diddy effect.
Okay, Brian, let me go to you, the only male on the and criminal defense attorney here. Now, Brooks' defense is that, you know, he's filing a preemptive lawsuit against her, claiming attempt for extortion and defamation. He said for years she's been trying to get him to pay large sums of money to prevent her from talking. Now, help me understand, is it still extortion if he did it?
No, it's not. It's not. Extortion means trying to take something from someone without a basis for doing it, right? You're leveraging Garth Brooks' fame, saying, I'm going to go tell everyone that you showed me your wee-wee, right?
Yes.
Unless you give me $10 million. Well, if Garth Brooks did, in fact, whammo and show her it was wee-wee, then there's not extortion. She's correct. Extortion is a defense. In a way, he's filed it offensively, but extortion is a defense. He's saying she's trying to extort me. But the thing I have is, you were his wife's makeup artist, right? Trisha Yearwood is her own country singer. She got her own money. She got her own album. She's popular. She's older, but she's popular. If you were doing her hair and doing her makeup and at her house and had access to her house, and this went on more than once, why didn't you tell her? I'll tell you right now. You tell my wife I'll show you my wee-wee, it's gonna be a problem.
Hopefully you're not sharing your wee-wee with the hair makeup artist. So wait a minute, help me understand, Brian. Are you saying that Jane Doe was not only Garth Brooks' makeup artist, but also his wife's makeup artist?
She was his wife's makeup artist. She did glam for his wife. That's
but I thought she did glam. No, she did glam for Garth Brooks, buddy.
and his wife too. I'm telling you, look it up. The wife was
Oh, so she did it for both of them.
both of them. She was around. She did it both. So
Yeah, that's kind of weird. How can the wife not see this going on? This is
especially if it happened on multiple occasions. And then she said he wants something about 3 something like that.
Don't blame the wife. Yeah, don't blame the wife. Don't say that somehow Trisha was delinquent and responsible for him getting out the shower hard and taking that girl's hand to low places. It ain't her fault. We're not standing for it. Brian, love you. Stand down. Come up with something else other than pointing fingers at Trisha Yearwood for that dude's misgivings and bad judgment.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Wait. No.
If you're married to a guy that's doing stuff this repulsive, then you know who your husband is.
I mean, right? If I can respond.
Necessarily. Wives get surprised all of the time with fools.
How is this possible?
Because fools lie. That's why. Right, Jay Carter? Come on back.
No, they don't right, Jay Carter. They don't right, Jay Carter.
Unless you were there, you don't know what these fools are doing. Fools are paying for sex. Fools are assaulting people, apparently. And fools are making really bad decisions that are compromising the assets of the family. So now here's Trisha, right? Now, granted, they're famous.
Oh, Lord. She's having a flashback.
I'll be quiet.
Attorney Turner, you cannot bring your personal flashbacks to the courtroom.
Listen.
Order in the court.
Don't blame Trisha. She is not a party to this lawsuit. Ain't nobody said she did anything wrong. Attorney Ross is speculating. That's all I'm saying.
Woohoo.
She did my wife's hair. She did my wife's makeup. She picked out my wife's clothes. She went downstairs and poured my wife a rum and coke. Your job is to be around. If I pull my out in front of you, you thinking, okay, once you was there. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you excuse me? It's happened. My wife got makeup artist. It happened. But she's alleging that the man used the R word on her. That's a big word.
Yeah, that's really significant. That's very significant, Shaitan.
That's a big word. You're going to know if the R word is circulating around our mansion in Southwest Texas, it's going to be known. It's going to be a situation.
I think
my wife at a bare minimum, my wife at a bare minimum is going to have, if she is a protectionist, is going to fire you. She's going to tell you, you got to go. That's it.
I don't disagree.
100 million reasons for you to leave.
Is that nobody's asserted that Trisha was a party or complicit in concealing this, and no one has said that Trisha did anything wrong. So I'm saying until I hear something that implicates Trisha, I'm not speculating on that. That's all I'm saying.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, attorney. Order in my court, please. Or let's keep it going here. All right, everybody, we get fiery tonight here on Monday. Be sure to hit that like button if you're liking the show. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications and get down in these comments because Shaitan Turner is fired up tonight. Next up, Kevin Hunter. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. Kevin Hunter is challenging the final divorce judgment he received from Wendy Williams, claiming that she concealed a significant amount of money during their divorce proceedings. According to Hunter, he alleges that Williams hid $48 million by fraudulently representing her financial situation. Now, during their divorce in 2019, The Guardian reported that Williams' holding was only $7.3 million. However, in 2022, when they were trying to say that The Guardian was misusing Wendy Williams' funds, her best friend Regina provided an affidavit indicating that Williams had nearly $55 million in her account at one time. Wow, this is very interesting. So he is now suing. He wants the original divorce judgment to be vacated, and he wants to get his money. Attorney Jay Carter, what is going on here? He's saying, number one, that there were concealed assets. And then also, number two, he said that The Guardian cannot represent Wendy Williams in the state of New Jersey, even though she's shown proof of guardianship in the state of New York. But the courts have asked the guardian, you have 21 days to show that you have jurisdiction in New Jersey. What exactly does this mean for Kevin Hunter and his quest to get more money from Wendy Williams?
First of all, I think somebody commented it already. Kevin, please, just please. But anyway, I understand that at this point he feels like he's been, treated unfairly about the guardians and the payouts he was supposed to receive. I'll answer your second question first. You have to be, to my knowledge, barred and licensed in the state that, you are a guardian in. So if I understand New York and New Jersey are close, but they're not the same states. So I think the guardian has to show that either she can temporarily waive in or there's some sort of reciprocity for her to have jurisdiction to be the guardian in this other state. And then as it relates to concealment, he's alleging that there's some sort of affidavit that supports that there were more assets put somewhere else. I mean, the court is going to have to vet all this. So this is not something you can just kind of make up. If there truly is money somewhere else, I mean, anybody will tell you, even in criminal law, just follow the paper trail. Like, I know people try to hide things, but if there's any sort of affidavit to support that it's somewhere, then yeah, this is the time where he should probably bring it up if he has strong reason to.
Right. Attorney, I got it. Attorney Turner, help me here, because this is the deal. Everything would have been fine if this friend wasn't claiming that the guardian was abusing Wendy Williams' money, correct? Because 2019, you have to go to court. I've been through this. I have divorced a very popular television talk show host. Everything is like, it's like going through an x-ray machine. You see everything, everybody's money, where the track of the money, where it came from, when it was paid, how it was paid, all of this. So for him to say, okay, at that time, she had $7 million to his knowledge. However, this best friend in the affidavit, tell me the importance of an affidavit, what an affidavit proves. This affidavit is saying that somewhere between 2019 and 2022, Wendy Williams all of a sudden had this money that she probably, she's saying was hidden in a mattress or somewhere else. It's all of a sudden back. So do he have legal rights to that money if she in fact hid it and it was fraud and misrepresentation and misconduct?
So I think fraud, misrepresentation is a stretch under these circumstances, because people have been saying that Wendy Williams hasn't been all there for quite some time. So I would take the position, if I were representing her, that any misstatements were neglectful omissions as opposed to intentional, and fraud requires
intention. Oh, I can't. No.
Right.
I'm not buying that. Okay, if it was from $7 to $10 million, I'll give you some omissions. We are not going to pretend like in this court of public opinion that you, because you had too much up your nose or too much down your throat, that you all of a sudden forgot that you had $45 million somewhere else. Now, Attorney Turner, you're pissing me off.
I'm not saying I would be successful, but I'm saying
that argument cannot be made in this court. Nope.
Well,
not
Your Honor, here's the thing, though. The dispute came up in a guardianship proceeding anyway, right? And so because she is a court appointed guardian, that means that she lacks capacity. So the question becomes, when did she start lacking capacity? Because if she lacked capacity during the divorce proceeding, she can't be held responsible for fraud. That being said, right, that means somebody who represented her would have been responsible for being truthful with the tribunal and with her ex-husband about the total of her assets. The challenge here, I think, is twofold. One, the math, right, is not in temporal proximity. So there were years between when he says he got the $7 million and when it was allegedly $55 million or whatever. The other question is, I'm not entirely sure who this friend is, what her qualifications were. Was she Wendy's accountant, right? How does she know how much money Wendy had? And the other thing is that the millions.
Well, what does an affidavit? What does an affidavit show then? What's the importance of the affidavit? Why did she went and got the affidavit? Because she's saying my friend Wendy had 50-something million dollars under this new guardianship. All the money's gone. And I agree with Keisha M. Wendy should have never had just $7 million. She was on the show for how many seasons? 15 plus seasons, making double-digit millions. What happened that she only had $7 million? Like, that just doesn't sound right from jump.
But the affidavit is important because it's a sworn statement.
Right.
I know you keep asking about it. It's important because it's a sworn statement. So if it is found out that this person's not telling the truth in the affidavit, perjury. You can go to jail for perjury. So this affidavit is important because it's sworn underneath the law. Again, I think they're going to have to vet this in some sort of court proceeding. But yeah, it's a sworn statement that Wendy, made these statements. Again, what condition she was in when she made these statements that she had the extra money is key, like Shatan said.
Right. So this is my thing. Attorney Brian Ross. Hold on, Attorney Turner. Attorney Turner, please hold on. Brian Ross, help me here. I don't care what you think about Kevin Hunter. Wendy herself for years have said that this man kept her on the straight and narrow, negotiated all her deals, made sure that she got paid when she was supposed to get paid, made sure their enterprise grew to the level in which it became. If, in fact, I don't care what he did, making babies, cheating on her every year, I don't care about any of that. If that man helped her make $55 million and it was an account somewhere, and then during the divorce proceedings, the $55 million is now gone. There's only $7 million. However, after that, the court divorce proceedings are over. You then go to court because you're saying the guardian is doing some nicky, and this is an affidavit to prove the nicky because this is what she had. Is that man entitled to money? That's the only thing I want you to answer, Attorney Brian Ross.
That man is entitled to money, and I don't care what Shatan Turner say. I'll fight her tonight. If we went to the table, and you put your cards on the table, and I put my cards on the table, and you said you had $7 million. I later find out you have $48 million more somewhere hidden in the mattress. I am entitled to vacate that order from the court because it was created based upon fraud. Okay?
Right.
Fraud. And listen, aggravator, there's two types of fraud. Fraud in the inducement and fraud in the factum. Fraud in the inducement is, hey, man, I got $1 billion. Buy this thing for me. Turns out the guy's got no money. He induced you into fraud. Fraud in the factum is, hey, look over here. I got $1 billion, but it's really not mine. In this case, it's fraud in the factum. She knew darn well she had $48 million hidden. She didn't want to pay him out. She got caught busted by her friend. She started drinking margaritas with Shatan Turner, random jibs, and now all of a sudden she mad at people filing affidavits. Not my problem. Cost the money up, baby.
Baby, make it rain.
Make it rain.
Trying to clarify something, please.
Clarification is what we need right now.
No. I said no. Shatan Turner.
I want you to hold her contempt of court.
The answer is no. You cannot.
Clarification.
I have to, because I'm not disagreeing with Attorney Ross's connection of those dots as he presented them.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you have to remember that Wendy is the person who allegedly made the statements about the $7 million. Her husband was her manager.
No, that's not correct. That's not correct. During the divorce, she had the guardian. Remember, the guardian is the one.
Guardian made the representations, but
the guardian, yes,
right. But the dispute
submitted by the guardian. The guardian submitted. Listen, hello, Shatan. I need you to listen for a second. Two of these, one of these. Okay, the guardian is the one that submitted all financials. She had ownership of all of Wendy's finances in 2019. So according to everything that she got guardianship over, which is all of her finances, she totaled it up to be $7 million. Okay, now what I will give you is when he sit there and they're telling him, hey, your wife only has $7 million in all your assets. You've been there with her for 20 plus years. You know how much she made. Why would you ever settle for her just that being the little bit that she has? That should have rang a bell in your head that something's not right. But that's a whole nother conversation. All I want to know is in legality, if she in fact misrepresented, was fraudulent and presented all of her money to the guardian like she was supposed to. If there was $43 million out there up at the time of the divorce, does he deserve to get his portion? How can any lawyer on this panel argue that he can't?
I'm
He
not saying that he
absolutely-
can't.
Go
I'm
ahead,
just saying
Shadon.
we have to connect the right dots, right? So Wendy lacking capacity, if she was under guardianship when this all happened, then the only person's forthrightness that is at issue is the guardian. It's not Wendy's, because it was already determined that she lacked capacity. So she's not the individual that was guilty of fraud. The person who was controlling her finances at the time is the person who had the obligation.
That's not what I'm asking you, Attorney Turner. I'm asking you if, in fact, the money was there. I don't care who misrepresented it. As I answer my question.
Yes, he would.
Okay,
He
did he
would
deserve
be
his
there.
money?
But
He
the
deserves
second-
his money if it was fraudulent in any way.
The thing is that this friend who's saying she had this extra money, I'm not sure who this person is. That's all I'm saying. That person asserted that amount to dispute the guardianship's management of Wendy's fund. So someone needs to research if that is true. But yes.
Okay, so let's go. So Keisha M says, good question, Keisha M. Wasn't she divorced before the guardianship was in place? She was still on air when she was divorced. So if you read the article, now this is just the article that we're reading in the case documents, right? So during the divorce in 2019, financial documents submitted by her guardian listed Williams Holdings as $7.3 million. That's what the guardian. So in order for the guardian to submit documents, the guardian had to be in guardianship. So unfortunately, maybe it got turned over before we knew. All right, let's keep it going. Good conversation. I love a good heated docket. I love a good heated. I don't want to hear from you right now, Attorney Turner. Hold it. All right, next up, everybody. Jussie Smollett, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. Oh my goodness. It just keeps on this is one of those cases that keep on giving. All right, Jussie Smollett lays out several points to support his ongoing legal claims, and his primary legal stance remains his assertions of innocence regarding the 2019 attack, which he was convicted of staging. Now, in his recent interview, he says that he absolutely did not stage it. He does admit to buying items used in the attack, but he feels like everything else was misrepresentation and that he should not be charged with a felony because he's not a felon. Whew, this is a lot going on here. And on top of that, he said that if he was not innocent, he wouldn't have spent $3 million of his personal money trying to get resolved. Attorney Brian Ross, talk to us about this Jussie Smollett case.
Jussie Smollett has been running around out here on bond, pending appeal. That's the bigger story. We talked about that, I think, a couple of weeks ago on your show. But he is having what you would call severe buyer's remorse. First of all, you look at your checking account, you ain't making the money you were making 5 years ago. You spent $3 million on something that could have been resolved in a couple of weekends. No one cares about you that much. No one cares if you're a felony. I don't want a felony on my record. For what? You could have kept your $3 million and earned 6% interest and been quiet. So now you spent this money, you're out of it, and you're still potentially going to jail. That is the context of what's going on. He's having buyer's remorse. So he's going to everyone's show, whining and complaining about the decision he made. Hey, put your big boy pants on. You're down $3 million. You're going to Cook County Jail. Enjoy the time, bro. They got good peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You'll be all right. It ain't that bad.
All right, Keisha M said, wait a minute, not too much for my fiery attorney, Shadon Turner. Your Honor. Just a little banter here. Let me throw to you, Attorney Turner. I don't understand why every time I'm a Jussie Smollett fan. All right. You guys know that I said on the 5-part docuseries, I had to read every document. I had to read and view every court, every single thing as it related to this case. I did a 5-part docuseries for Fox Nation. I even partnered and worked with the Fox executives who placed outbound calls about the decline of this young man and the conversations that they brought to Lee Daniels and saying, hey, you either have to kill this guy off, write him low, write him down, make him less important, or the viewers are going to turn their back on him and we're not going to renew the show. Okay. I am confused how he says that he regrets doing the Robin Roberts interview because he said he was mortified when he watched it. However, he says that his story has never changed and he's never lied. However, if he'd only paid $125,000 to do community service and push this behind him, he would have $2.9 million.
Yes.
I don't understand. I just don't understand what's going on. Like, Attorney Turner, tell me what is going through this young man's mind. Now, let's also bring to the forefront that he said that he wanted to go to drug rehab, but they told him that he couldn't.
So it's hard to speculate about what's going through his head, but I'll make an attempt. I want the algoriters to also notice I took off my jacket. I have my Vaseline right here, so that I can go head to head with the judge.
Please do not bring up Vaseline or lube on this show.
All right, Diddy, you got your baby oil. You got your baby oil.
DiddyLube.com. DiddyLube.com.
We are forever ruined. Forever ruined,
people.
But yeah, I mean, Mr. Smollett is attempting to create smoke and mirrors to redeem his image. So he's got this real problem, which is he had a made up story that he thought was going to help protect his role on the show and make him be a victim and get all of the like white people love, black people love, brown people love, everybody love who felt bad about the George Floyd murder, right?
Right.
And then it all blew up and it was fake, right? And he hasn't been able to accept that everybody knows. And so for whatever reason, maybe it's because he feels guilty about tarnishing his family's good name. Maybe it's because he wants to become a leading man again. I don't know, but he's burning through money with lawyers. And as you know, the lawyers on the panel, you know, I have a captive client, but for people who have lots of clients, like lawyers will let you burn up your money if you want to, right? So somebody has bought a house, put their kids through college and funded their retirement just on Mr. Smollett's foolishness because he won't let this go.
Right.
It's not clear to me. He says that there are facts that are not known that will become known that he's not at liberty to discuss. And I'm not really sure what those are because this is on appeal. It's not like he's awaiting trial. So it's unclear to me what he might be holding back that anybody would care about. But yeah, he seems lost to me, and maybe he should go to rehab again because maybe he started using his own.
Maybe so. Like, because my thing is, okay, why would you be mortified after watching your Robin Roberts interview? You claim you told the truth. So why would you be mortified?
I think he's mortified because of how he came off. It's just like I'm sure R. Kelly is mortified about his interview. You think it's a good idea to get in front of a story and hurry up and do an interview on a huge platform, and then you go back and watch it and you look terrible. So I think it's more of that. Something that has come up that we haven't talked about with Jesse, he was mentioning something about double jeopardy. I just want to set the record straight. There's no double jeopardy here for one primary reason. So I looked into his first charges. His first charges was a class 4 felony, filing a false police report. Those charges were dropped. They then went back and charged him with 6 felonies with disorderly conduct and lying to the police. So there's difference between lying to the police and filing a police report. Those are 2 different charges. So if he's going to try to come up in this appeal saying, oh, it was double jeopardy, that's one of the reasons why this shouldn't stand, that's not going to work. So hopefully he's listening to this. Don't use the double jeopardy thing. That's not going to work in this particular case. Just stay.
What can he use? What can he use?
Nothing.
Nothing. He can only just continue to stick with the story about he was attacked. Now, this is news to me that he admitted into buying the tools. So you bought the tools, but you weren't planning for someone to then steal the tools to attack you. You were using the tools maybe for something else. Because to your point,
Yeah, I want you to buy the tools and bring it to me out in the cold. Just send it to me. Don't use it.
No. Let's rabbit hole for 5
Don't
seconds.
hand it. Look, don't use them on me. Just hand them to me.
No. But think about it. He is an actor. So
Right.
if I were to create a creative argument for him as his counsel, I would say that he admitted to buying the tools because he was using the tools for something else. He was using the rope. He was using it for something else. These people broke in and then used those tools to keep him captive. So
Well, they didn't break in. This all happened out on the cold streets of Chicago.
no,
Like,
they went into his apartment and
no, baby, no.
Nobody. Hey, look.
Nobody. I hate to tell you, nobody went in his apartment. Nope, that ain't how that happened.
Nobody's getting up at 3 in the morning to go downtown Chicago to get a Subway sandwich. It
He
ain't
went to
happening.
go,
It's
allegedly, he went to go get a
-10
Subway.
Wait,
Allegedly,
was he hung outside?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, listen, sweetheart. He went to go get a Subway sandwich allegedly at 2:00 in the morning or somewhere in that vicinity.
Right.
As he was walking to Subway or somewhere in his transport. No, actually, he was coming back because he had the sandwich in his hand.
Sandwiches.
This isn't funny. He had a sandwich in his hand and he was attacked at that time by 2 individuals who had on MAGA hats and they had a noose. They put the noose around his neck, threw bleach on him, and he called him
But was this all done outside?
outside. He runs home.
Right.
He runs home. They have footage of him coming back in with the sandwich in his hand after being attacked. Goes up to his apartment and he calls the police, and the police comes over, and he kept the noose on even until the police arrived.
Okay.
Now the funny part was the African brothers didn't know how to tie a noose, so he wasn't even correctly tied. And algorithm, I'm gonna do one better because, like I said, if you guys watch the documentary, and I recommend everyone to watch the documentary that I participated in, I really tried my best to understand what happened. And on this Friday's show, I don't know if we're going to have lawyers on the panel, but on this Friday's show, I will have the African brothers to discuss the Jussie Smollett case here on my YouTube channel. And any lawyers that would like to join and ask questions, you're more than welcome. They're open to it. And I spent over a year, probably 2 or 3 years now, really understanding this family, understanding their family, his mother, who is the one who kind of helped them get out of jail. So I think anyone who's interested in the Jussie Smollett case, join me this Friday. Turn on your notifications. We are expecting to have the African brothers on to talk about this case in real time. All right. Okay. Woo, this is such a messy.
Justice for juicy.
Right. This is such a messy case. And so you know that he acknowledges personal fault, but not guilt. He admits that while he has taken responsibility for other actions, like buying items used in the attack, he denies orchestrating the incident itself. He explains that certain truths about his actions were used to support false claims about the larger situation. I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say about Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett, if you're interested, we'll have the African brothers right here on Al Reynolds to talk about it more. Next up, Floyd Mayweather. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Floyd, this is a very interesting case, and I can't wait to get the lawyer's opinion on this. In this case, Jasmine Woodard, an exotic dancer at Floyd Mayweather's Girl Collection strip club in Las Vegas, is suing him for allegedly slapping her after a dispute over unpaid wages. His legal breakdown of the situation and the possible claims, which I thought was brilliant. I have to say, this young lady got a good lawyer here, is assault, battery, failure to pay wages. Look, she threw in hostile work environment and retaliation and emotional distress. She is going for a huge check here. Criminal defense attorney Ross, what are your thoughts surrounding the claims of Jasmine Woodard?
Floyd stepped off the ring after he fought Manny Pacquiao, and he said, "Hey, Ross." I said, "What's up, Floyd?" He says, "I'm about to buy a strip club." I said, "Don't do it." He didn't listen. Now that didn't happen. That's a lie. But he did subconsciously. I was like, you got like $600 million. Why don't you invest in downtown Manhattan real estate instead? And exactly what's happening to Floyd is what I'm afraid of. This woman says that she was working there. She stepped off stage. Floyd approached her about unpaid monies or tips or something, that whatever it is, money. And when she didn't meet his needs, he smacked her. She ran to the back. He followed her to the locker room. Now you're in the girls' locker room where they change. Okay, owner. And she's crying. And he says, you can't take a joke. It's not a joke if you smack someone. So then he says he didn't do it. Problem for Floyd is he's got the same problem that Diddy has. Too many witnesses.
Right.
You're going to get someone to come forward to say this. This lawsuit, in my opinion, is going to go away. I mean, Floyd needs to make it go away. Like quick. Like pay this one off. Wrap it up. Get it done. Because now another woman comes forward and says she's suing you for unpaid wages. Once you get to that unpaid wages, some statutes allow for attorney's fees in that. So you have to pay them the $2,000 or $3,000 you owe. But while you're fighting this out of pride for years, you're going to turn around with a $100,000 legal bill. Now, Floyd's got a lot of money, so he can handle this. But you need to stop it. If you did, in fact, get involved in this, pay this woman out and get out of it, man. It's too heavy for you, bro.
Attorney Jay Carter, so I'm confused. She's a stripper, right? So when you throw the dollars on her, she's saying she didn't scoop it off the ground and get it? Or what wages did she not get?
Okay, so don't ask how I know. But
Let me find out you know how to make a clap. Let me find out you know how to make a clap, Carter.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Anyway, don't ask how I know. But what I'm saying is, to my understanding, my personal knowledge, when you are a stripper, your money is right in front of you. Like they actually have sweepers come to sweep and make sure that when you're done dancing, your money goes where it needs to go, right? So that you get paid out at the end of the night. Also, a lot of clubs have a rule where the house maybe makes a certain amount of money, and then there's a certain percentage given to certain dancers depending on how long you've been there and all that. So as much as it seems like it's chaotic, strip clubs are pretty organized. So for them to have like this wage claim that even started the woman being assaulted in the first place because she wanted her money, like it's just really interesting that they don't have their finances together with the strip club, because everybody's even seen Players Club or Lisa Ray. It's pretty organized. Even when they're not getting as much as they should, it's kind of like Drake said, you knew what it was when you signed up. Like you knew what you were getting and not getting from the beginning. So either you're with it and you're going to dance or you're not. So I just find it interesting that a club owned by someone of his stature is having issues with payment. The second thing that we haven't talked about, and I don't know if this is going to be putting her claim, not to give her any ideas, but when you hit someone and you have hands that are registered. So his hands are actually registered as deadly weapons. Me hitting her and Floyd hitting her are two things. This can actually even turn criminal. So he gotta watch it, like right now, this is just civil, but your hands are registered as a deadly weapon. When you hit someone, it could be assault with a deadly weapon, him just slapping her. So to Brian's point, please just settle this and close the club.
That's a very good point. Only here on the Court of Public Opinion do we learn stuff like this. And I guess clearly he does have registered hands because they are insured that way. All right, Attorney Turner, any comments on the Floyd Mayweather and abusing his strippers?
Yeah, I mean, I have two quick comments in response to both attorneys. One, as Jay Carter was talking, Attorney Jay Carter, all I could think of was that song, Bands Will Make Her Dance. But anyway.
What song is that?
But it's catchy. But to your point, Attorney Ross, this isn't an issue for Floyd given his $600 million, but it is a benefit to the litigants, because I confirmed this because I thought this was the case. Treble damages are a possibility for wage claims like this, which means they could get 3 times the amount of compensatory damages in addition to attorney's fees. So as it relates to these young women who are suing him, their attorneys have pled the appropriate things to make sure that they never have to strip again if they win.
Wow.
So good for them. Come up.
Wait, now what? What?
Slap me, Floyd. No, I'm just kidding. That was completely inappropriate.
Wow.
Slap you or spank you? Which one do you want?
Well, one could be fun, and I could sue for. So I got to think that.
All right, everybody. Before we go into our last case on the docket tonight, be sure to throw some fire emojis in the chat, a briefcase emoji in the chat, and don't forget the stars. Right, the stars for that's right, for this, the Entertainment Esquire, and also some facts emojis, because here in the Court of Public Opinion, we're always teaching you the law. All right, last up, John Amos, Shannon and Casey. Amos, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. This makes me so sad. This whole thing makes me sad. All right, there is rumor that Casey Amos, who's the son and who had guardianship over John Amos, is up to something that just doesn't seem quite legal. Shannon is claiming that there was some type of change in the will or trust shortly before John Amos, America's dad, died. Attorney Shatan Turner talked to us about the complications surrounding A, elder care, B, will and trust during transition, and what is the significance of this claim made by Shannon, and why is she all of a sudden making these claims when she was the one that put the no contact rule order against KC? And so for the algorithms who don't know, KC could possibly argue that the reason why he didn't contact her in letting her know about her father's death is because she had a court order that he was not allowed to contact her.
Wow.
All right, so this has so many moving parts. Attorney Shatan Turner, please help us understand all of this.
So there are a lot of moving parts. And at this stage right now, we're really just talking about media comments that are being made by the family as opposed to legal claims. And so we can flesh out what their potential legal claims might be. But right now, Shannon is just talking. Shannon is trying to persuade the court of public opinion generally, and potentially the people on this show, that, hey, my brother was dirty. He was wrong to our dad. He was likely engaged in fraud, which cheated me out of money, and I am the victim. And the evidence from that she's trying to assert is, I told y'all he was abusing him in life. I also didn't know my father was dead for, over a month. What's up with that? And, oh, by the way, there's this other person who I think may have represented herself as me at the hospital. So it's a lot to unpack. So during Mr. Amos's life, there were dueling elder abuse claims. The sister claimed that her brother was abusing her, and Mr. Amos claimed that the sister was abusing him. And so it was all complicated. The California Elder Abuse Office will have evidence for that, and they'll see whether it's relevant. Since she's making these claims again, they likely have an opened and closed case. And so I think it's interesting that they have not been interviewed yet, but that's probably part of the process, and they're keeping it confidential right now. But it's not just like people can say these things and they go nowhere. The other thing that she has, it's curious to me, but it seems like what's in the paper addresses his concern, is he had 2 children. Generally speaking, decision-making authority, which includes withdrawing life support in California, would include notifying both of the children since he was unmarried, right? Because there's a hierarchy of decision makers, and siblings are on the same level. And so they both would have equal decision-making authority. And the hospital didn't contact her, right? That's curious, because it was known that he had 2 children. But there's this other woman who apparently felt like Mr. Amos was, I have to call him Mr. Amos because, grew up watching Good Times. I can't just go around calling him John, right? Or I could call him Daddy like they did on Good Times. But anyway, the publicist was his publicist for 30 years. She says that she felt as if that was her father, that she called him dad, and apparently she did it all the time. And so Shannon is alleging that this publicist may have been at the hospital. The hospital got confused, thought that his 2 children were there, and that's why he was allowed to die without her being notified. And then he was cremated by her brother. All seems a little neat and tidy when you know that your sister is suspicious and thinks you're abusing your dad, right? But the death certificate only indicated heart failure, I believe, as the cause of death and didn't list any other comorbidities or any other concerns. And so that does negate some of this, or at least it's a helpful data point for the brother to say, look, he was in the hospital. It's not like he died at home and I cremated him. He died in a hospital. And if there was any physical evidence that he was being abused, that would have been documented in the death certificate. And
That's
so
right.
please go away, Shannon. There's nothing to see here. And I know Attorney Jay Carter has a lot of comments about the difference between a will and a trust and what may have happened from an impropriety perspective. And so I'll let her take that point.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Shatan is saying as it relates to a will and trust. So as she mentioned before, it is just speculation what is happening here, right? With the will versus this potential trust. We don't know yet. And to be honest with you, it'll just be like Prince and a couple of other artists. If there's a trust, we will never know.
Never know. Right.
We'll never know because it's public. But what I think is interesting, she's already gone on this media tour, including TMZ, to state that there was a will, at least at one point, that was changed without her permission. And she made her brother, again, allegedly sign something saying that any future changes, she would be notified. So there was a will at some point. Now, was there something that revoked that will after that data point of them discussing no changes were to be made without each of the siblings' consent? I don't know. I don't know if anything happened, but at some point he had a will, according to her. Because
okay, so this is my question, Attorney Brian Ross. There was a will.
Yes.
He said that he will notify her if there's another change. He had to sign something, but then a court order comes that she initiated and says, don't contact me, don't come near me, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't text me, don't email me. So was he wrong for not letting her know? He has a court order that he has no contact with her.
Contact can go through various parties. So you don't have to communicate directly to your own cell phone. You don't have to pick up the phone and call them. You don't have to go to their house. You have to mail them. You have attorneys. You have people who can work through those conversations with you. There's ways to communicate around that. You see this sometimes in domestic violence cases, right? The husband and wife had a fight. Someone's in jail. I don't want them to call me. Don't talk to me. Fine. I speak to their lawyer speaks to me. We resolve the problems through intermediaries. That could happen. Seems to me, now again, this is out of my field of law, but it seems to me there's a little something funky here. It's a little funky, like dirty play. Why? It's a step one. We're supposed to have a will. I'll tell you about anything. All of a sudden, there's a no contact order. What's happening here? Why? What's going on with my dad? What's the truth? And that's what's going to come out. Really, what's going to come out. Follow the money. This is about money. Exactly.
And here's
all right, everybody.
Is that unless Mr. Amos lost capacity during his life, he didn't have to tell anybody anything before he changed his will. So that's the other thing. Shannon may have had desires to be consulted, but she didn't have any right to be unless her father lacked capacity. And so it's probably a lot of money involved. And so I imagine that she's in it for the long haul because she's like, hey, just pay me something if I'm not going to get my full share.
Right. You know what I find so interesting about this case is that John Amos was very vocal on IG Live. I mean, he was very vocal in the media about his health updates. He was very vocal in the media about his son taking care of him. He was very vocal about the elderly abuse. He was very vocal about his relationship with his daughter, Shannon. He was very vocal about his relationship with his son. So it just seems to me that if you want to like put a timeline together, he tells you what's going on in his life. Never once did any diagnosis come back as Alzheimer's. As never once was there any type of diagnosis that came back forgetfulness. I mean, so this is going to be a pretty uphill battle for Shannon. All right, everybody, this is the time of the show where we go to your questions. I see we have a few questions here that we want to make sure we get to tonight before we go into our verdicts. First up, Danielle Cameron. So many questions with the Garth Brooks situation. Where was the makeup artist while he was getting erect? Oh, my God. Did she wait for him to get erect, or did it just happen? So allegedly, Danielle, she claims in the court documents that he came out of the shower already erect. And that's when he wanted someone to help him out a little bit. All right, Jeanette Hunter. Jeanette Hunter. Didn't he cheat on his first wife with Trisha? I don't know. I think
objection relevance. Objection relevance. Okay.
Okay.
Relevant.
Janet's got a good memory, and I think that is what happened. I mean, it's not just positive on this case, but I think Janet mentioned it.
So Todd's not letting that one down. All right, next up, Danielle Cameron says, I'm sorry, but doesn't Michael Jordan invest in private prisons? How is it able to now act like he's about anyone but himself? Well, all right. Danielle Carmen's next question is, how do you cheat on Wendy, have a whole baby, and then ask for more money? Why, sir, do you think you deserve more? Well, listen, I got to tell you, he helped build that empire for over 2 decades. So that's why he deserves his money. If you hid it from him, he deserves it. I mean, we might not like him, but that's the law, right? All right, Rudy Huxtable. Hey, Rudy. Why would her bestie divulge that info? I think it's so interesting because it was a sworn affidavit. So I'll let the lawyers answer that. But this is in my opinion. Remember, they were saying at the Guardian because her assets were frozen at Wells Fargo and she couldn't get to her money. The friend was simply saying that it does not make any sense. Where is her money? She had $45 million. What happened to that? And I think in the quest of trying to handle one situation, she exposed another. Does anybody want to talk on that?
Well, that's why I was saying it depends on what dots we're trying to connect on whether or not this is true, right? So the friend, she signed an affidavit with facts that she believed to be true. You can sign affidavits with facts you believe to be true that turn out not to be true when you were not lying. So I'm curious to find out how she had that authority, but you're right. Her desire in those subsequent legal proceedings was to prove fraud and misappropriation of funds on the part of the Guardian, and she was not thinking about other legal actions.
Right. Of what it would expose. So interesting. Abby NYC, the MM family, is it legal to pay people in pennies?
It's absolutely legal. I'm gonna tell you right now, as your lawyer, you want to show up with $10,000 in pennies, we'll still do the deal.
Yeah, funny story. I actually paid someone in pennies before. I actually did that just to be petty. I did do that.
But Jay Carter, would you take him?
Somebody buy vodka in pennies one day when the
you did what?
I paid someone in pennies. I think it was only a couple of $100. It was like a landlord-tenant dispute with an old roommate. So I was like, oh, so you want to be petty about certain things? That's fine. I'll give it to you. But I gave it to her in pennies. So yes, you can pay people in pennies.
So she had like what, 100 pounds of pennies?
It was ridiculous, but
I love that.
What were you saying, Shaitan? Y'all are some petty attorneys.
I was at the liquor store one day when it opened, not because I have a problem, but I was having a party. And I realized the people who were there when the liquor store opened, like waiting for them, were not my people, and I should not be there at that time. But apparently you can get a gallon of Nikolai vodka. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And there was this man who was counting his pennies out so he could get his vodka. And he seemed to really need that vodka. Oh, wow. And so I decided I would wait till midday to go to the liquor store after that.
All right, everybody. This is the time of the show that we go through our different cases and give our verdicts. First up, Michael Jordan, NASCAR. Is NASCAR guilty or not guilty of creating a monopoly? Attorney Shaitan Turner, what say you?
I say they're not guilty.
Oh. Yeah. Ooh, wow. Attorney Jay Carter. Are you muted? You're muted.
I'll jump in.
I would say they have a monopoly here. I don't know about bad faith, but there's clearly a monopoly here.
Attorney Brian Ross?
They absolutely have a monopoly. And what happened was they didn't want to let blacks in for a reason. Now they let one in, and now they got to deal with this problem. That's ridiculous. I know, right?
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. And we're going to find NASCAR guilty of monopolizing all the money. That's why there's only one family that continues to become billionaires out of NASCAR, even though we've had many, 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 many African Americans to do well in NASCAR. Next up, Garth Brooks. All right, Attorney Shaitan Turner, is Garth Brooks guilty or not guilty of being a nasty little dirty man?
Yeah, he definitely guilty of being a nasty, dirty little man. Whether he gets convicted, I don't know, but that's the perfect thing. Yes, guilty
All
all
right.
day.
Attorney Jay Carter, did he rape that lady or not? Guilty, not guilty?
I'm gonna reserve judgment. Like I'm with Brian. She was around way too long around the wife and him for this to have gone on. I don't know. I'm reserving judgment. I think she's gotta. This is a civil case. This isn't criminal. So she's still got to prove, I believe, the preponderance of the evidence. So,
All right, Attorney Brian Ross.
I step out the shower and she hand me a towel. It ain't my fault she was in the bathroom. She could have waited outside. Not guilty.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and in the court of public opinion, we're gonna find Garth Brooks guilty. Guilty, maybe not of rape, maybe not of rape, but definitely of being a pervert. With your wife downstairs watching the soaps, you upstairs putting your penis in another woman's hand when she should be doing your hair and your face, sir. That's guilty of perversion. All right. Next up, y'all don't think that's guilty?
That's not guilty, and I ain't guilty of nothing.
Okay, next up, Kevin Hunter. No, Wendy Williams. Is she guilty or not guilty of making sure all her assets were revealed during her divorce? Attorney Brian Ross, what say you?
She's guilty. I'm not gonna buy Shatan's sword and shield argument that she's making, where he said, I hide behind my trustee. You informed the trustee. You granted the trustee access to the records. You absolutely knew you were
totally agree. All right, Attorney Jay Carter, is she guilty or not guilty of hiding assets?
I say not guilty because the guardian or the trustee should have did their job to go back to vet what she was saying was true.
All right, Attorney Shatan Turner, is she guilty or not guilty of hiding assets?
I'm with Attorney Carter. Wendy is not guilty. Free Wendy.
Gotcha. All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And we're finding Wendy Williams guilty of possibly hiding assets because she was very upset that she got exposed and that man kept that woman, got her pregnant, and drug her around town, treating her as his main woman. She didn't like it. So she was like, you know what? You're going to pay. And how am I going to make you pay? I'm going to hide my assets, and you're only going to get a little bit because I know your spending habits, and it's only going to last for a good year. And now you're in the poor person house. And you took the house that I got for you, gave it to her. You are guilty. All right, next up, we have Jussie Smollett. Oh, well, do we even have to do Jussie Smollett? Is he guilty or not guilty? And what would he be guilty of? Attorney Brian Ross, what say you?
He is guilty of perpetuating a fraud for this long, and he's realizing he's out of road. He's seeking mercies, but unfortunately, sir, you're going to the big house.
Attorney Jay Carter, is he guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty now that I learned that he bought the tools. If you bought the tools, then that's it. Like, I always try to play devil's advocate, but you making it hard. You making it hard.
Attorney Shatan Turner, what say you? Guilty or not guilty?
I'm with Abby NYC. She's got a little catchphrase, Messy Jessie. I like that one. Jessie is guilty.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And I just think he's guilty of not being smart about this. Why spend $3 million when you could have gotten off for $100?
Yes.
Why? I don't get it. I don't understand. Guilty for not being smart. Guilty for having dumb lawyers. Guilty for having a messed up mind. Guilty is all I can say. We love this family. They're so talented. His mom was a part of the Black Panthers. Her best friend was Angela Davis. The dad was a historian, photographer of the civil rights movement, social activist. Come on, Jesse. Let's turn the page and get back on track. Go not only to rehab, but go to therapy, please. Right? He's so talented too. All right, Floyd Mayweather, is he guilty or not guilty? Attorney Ross?
He's guilty.
Yeah, Attorney Jay Carter.
Yeah, he's guilty. He slapped her.
Yeah, Attorney Shatan Turner.
Remember this is the second Floyd case we've discussed in like 2 weeks because he was stealing jewelry. So, granted, that's not relevant, but I'm just saying Floyd is guilty, and we might have to add him to the Diddy stamp.
You don't want to go there.
We don't want to go there. All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And Floyd, you're my boy. Oh, geez. Back in the day, I used to be on his financial advisement team. Always respected him. Loved his hustle. This man has overcome so much. Please, Floyd, you have registered hands. You can't go around slapping women. In this case, if you did it, you're guilty. Guilty as charged. All right, last up is Shannon and Casey. I don't even know who we're going to say is guilty or not guilty, but what is Casey Amos guilty of anything so far? Let's just say so far of what we know about this case, Attorney Brian Ross. Casey's the son. Is he guilty of anything that we know of so far?
Not yet. Let's see where it goes because we haven't had access to the trust if one exists.
Right. All right. So we're going to say not guilty. Attorney Jay Carter.
He's guilty to the extent he should have had some representative, like Brian said. Representatives can talk to representatives and not be in violation of a no contact order. So he is guilty for not letting his sister know that the father passed.
All right. Well, he did let her know. You mean just not within?
Well, directly when he died. She didn't go to the
Not within
funeral. There was no
45 days.
she didn't oversee the cremation. So he's guilty for not letting her know as soon as it happened.
Right.
Representative.
All right, Attorney Ross. Attorney Shatan Turner. Is he guilty or not guilty?
Yeah, he's guilty. It's sad, but I think that he's guilty for what Jay Carter indicated. That lapse in time was cruel.
All right, I'm Al, and this is I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And I'm gonna find Casey Amos not guilty. Not guilty because we don't know yet. We don't know yet. Now, is it wrong? Yes. Is it illegal? No, it's not. All right, everybody, that concludes tonight's show of Court of Public Opinion. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications because we're going to have the African brothers from the Justice Smollett case right here in the Court of Public Opinion on Friday. Also, thank you for jumping in the comments and sharing with us all your different questions and your concerns and your insight. Everyone have a great night. Court is now adjourned.